Hello, my name is David Staples. I've been working in the IT field for a number of years, and I've decided to create a video series to share some tips, tricks, and useful features of a number of different applications. So I hope you find these useful, and thank you for watching. So today let's talk about how to create a new SharePoint site. So right now we're at my main instructor site. So if we come over here to the left, and we click on the Site Actions menu. Now this Site Actions menu, some of you who have been using 2007 may remember that this was over on the right hand side in SharePoint 2007. So for SharePoint 2010 it's been moved over to the left hand side. So we click on Site Actions. Now we can either click on New Site or we can click on More Options. Typically when I'm demonstrating I just go ahead and click on More Options. So if I click on Site under the Filter By, we'll see the variety of different types of sites that I could create here. I can create a blank site, I can create a blog, I can create a contacts web database, a document center, perhaps a fast search center, but typically most people are looking for a new team site. So we'll click on Team Site and then come over here to the right. We've got two different options. So first we need a title for our site. So I'm going to call this Working Group A. And then we need to choose the URL. So the part of the URL that we need to choose here is the part that comes over here at the end, where if we mouse over the current URL, it shows us our existing URL with URL name between the less than and greater than signs. So we need to choose what to set our URL here. Now typically our recommendation is to keep the URL as short as possible so that it's easy to remember and doesn't take up a whole lot of space, so you don't come up with really long URLs by the time you start adding subsite after subsite nested within more subsites. So if we just call this Group A, and then I'll go ahead and click on this More Options here. As you can see, this gives me the ability to go ahead and choose a description for the site. So we'll say, welcome to the home of Group A. There's the URL that we just set. And then we can come down and set a couple of other options here. So we start with user permissions. Do we want to use the same permissions as the parent site, which in this case is that instructor site? Or we can actually set our own unique permissions here. So we call this basically inheritance. Do we want to inherit the permissions from the site above us, or do we want to start a brand new set of permissions that are totally unrelated to the other site? So I'm going to leave this just set as the default here, and we'll use the same set of permissions from instructor. Next we say, display this site on the quick launch of the parent site? Well, no, for the time being we're not going to. We'll leave that as the default. And then display this site on the top link bar of the parent site. Sure, we'll leave that as the default as well. And next, we've got the navigation inheritance. Do we want to use the same top link bar from the parent site? Here, I'm going to actually change this from the default of no over to yes. And we'll talk about what the quick launch bar and the top link bar are here in just a moment. But for now, I'll go ahead and click on Create. And that'll take just a moment to process on our SharePoint server. And then it brings us to our brand new site. So easy as that, we've gone ahead and created a brand new site within SharePoint. So referring back to that top link bar and the quick launch bar, if you notice here, we've got Home, PMO, and Working Group A along this bar along the top. This is what we refer to as our top link bar. You'll notice that this search site, the search box, is also on the top link bar. Next we have our libraries, lists, and discussions, along with the recycle bin and all site content links over here on the left. This box is what we know, or what we refer to as our quick launch area. So we can actually hide the quick launch area if we want to, and we can also hide the top link bar. But for most people's purposes, they like having those on there. But when we refer to those, that's what we're talking about. One other term that you may hear when we're referencing the different pieces of a SharePoint site is what we call breadcrumbs. So there's two areas. You've got this Working Group A, Home, and then if you keep on going down into different pieces of this site, you'll see another arrow and the part of the site that you're in up here. That's one version of the breadcrumb. And then if you click on the folder up here at the top, you'll see the breadcrumbs for where you're at within that site collection. So you've got instructor site, then we've got working group A, and we're at the home for working group A. So that is how to create a basic site for SharePoint Server 2010. I hope you have found this useful. If you have any other questions related to SharePoint that I haven't covered in another video, feel free to email me on one of the email addresses that I'll be putting on the screen here. I hope you found this useful, and I hope you'll check out my other videos. But in the meantime, have a great day, and thanks for watching.